Welcome back. We have more bad news for California, if you can believe it, right on top of the recent headlines of how long it's taken them to count the recent election ballots. It's ridiculous, right? We have a shifting economic landscape, which has culminated in Texas dethroning California as the nation's premier hub for Fortune 500 companies. All right, here we go. So data from the 2026 Fortune 500 list shows Texas leading with 57 headquarters, compared with California's 56 headquarters, marking a reversal from 2 years ago when California held the lead for Fortune 500 companies. And it's more than just corporate, right? It's a money thing, too. Additionally, corporations in Texas generated $2.8 trillion in revenue, while those in California just reported $2.7 trillion in revenue. That's going to be a slippery slope, I think. How about this quote? "Texas is the undisputed headquarter of headquarters," said Texas Governor Greg Abbott in the press release reacting to the news. It's not a California thing either, though. How about this? Texas is challenging New York for stock business, too. The Texas Stock Exchange, which is TXSE for those out there, that's headquartered in Dallas, is a fully functioning electronic national securities exchange approved by the SEC. And it's backed by major financial giants like BlackRock, Citadel Securities, and Charles Schwab, just to name a few. It's preparing to launch trading for specified test stocks next month, July. My next guest has seen this happening in front of our very eyes. He actually lives in California. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Ted Thatcher. Ted, thanks for coming on. Amongst other things that are leaving the state of California, this looks like Fortune 500 companies are doing that too. I mean, it's not a big one, 57 to 56, but still it's kind of showing a shift, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is, Scott. I mean, obviously, like you said, 57 to 56, you might think it's neck and neck, but I think when you look at the overall trend is where, you start to see things really stand out. Every time one of these big names leaves, we all know the names, SpaceX, Tesla. We all think about Chevron as being, a Texas native, but the truth is they moved their headquarters there in 2024. Coldwell Banker, Public Storage, the list goes on. And what do we see every time one of them move? Well, we see the same kind of narrative, too much regulation. Of course, there's extra expenses on the tax side and regulation on both the operational side. Just think about how hard it is to get permits to build in the state of California, all the way through on these type of new nuisance sort of lawsuits that these companies say they have to deal with, allocating a ton of time, money, people to legal teams to fight these little things. And they all say, hey, we're just not having those problems in the state of Texas.
I mean, California is a beautiful state, and you're right. You said off air that most of the time it's so beautiful that a lot of people have used that as an excuse to kind of put up with these petty lawsuits or difficult business situations. But it seems as though that dam might be breaking just a little bit, because we've seen a pretty big outflow. I did a story the other day about, I think over the last few years, California's lost 106,000 millionaires, most of which have fled to the southeast of the country, Florida being one of them, Texas, Tennessee, South Carolina. So they're all the beneficiaries of everybody leaving with their hair on fire. My question to you is this, Gavin Newsom's he's the governor. He keeps saying they're the fourth largest economy in the world. But how long can you rest on those laurels if you're not treating those people well? I know you're probably one of those billionaires that's thinking about leaving, but you've seen a lot of other folks leave just because of that proposed billionaire tax, number one. Number two is I'll never forget when Elon Musk said he's going to move Tesla from California to Texas, because he was able to build his plant in Texas in the same amount of the time he said that it was going to take him to get the permits in California. That's not good.
No, it's not good. And I think a lot of business owners would say, despite his best efforts, they're still sitting on those numbers in terms of, the size of their economy. You think about it, you can think about it from the business standpoint, but also the individual standpoint. You noted how much of an exodus there has been. If you take $150,000 income, just moving to Texas alone is going to save you $10,000 just in income taxes. And how much have we talked, broadly speaking, about the housing crisis, issues in the United States? That's rampant in the state of California. And in Texas, despite its, exploding economy, many would say, you look at a city like Austin and you still see a lot of people citing, I would argue, pretty reasonable housing costs. Some people saying that there's still apartments in the city for $1,000 or $1,200. And so you just see ultimately the regulatory environment has very different outcomes. Greg Abbott saying, hey, we're pro-business. We want to attract as many amazing businesses here as possible. And so you see that, of course, reflected in policy. And, further on the policy piece, you mentioned Gavin Newsom. California is about to vote basically again on a wealth seizure tax in November. We saw, like you said, the billionaire tax, 5%. That is written out of consideration in the state of Texas. In 2023, they passed, a new amendment to their constitution saying that they would never have wealth taxes, while California is questioning whether the Fifth Amendment should even exist.
Right. Well, it's not just a California thing either. You'd probably agree with me when it's a New York, New Jersey thing. It's an Illinois thing. And what are the things that all of those things have in common? Well, they're being run by Democrats for a very long time. And that's an issue. We've even seen the news today that the Chicago Bears are going to hop over the border and build a stadium in Indiana. Indiana, budget surplus. Illinois, massive, massive budget deficit. I mean, I think these people have taken down mirrors in their houses, because if you just look yourself in the mirror, you'd have to question your policies that are making everybody flee the state with their hair on fire. I'll give you the last 30 seconds.
Look, ultimately, I think the trend that we are seeing is there is less and less tolerance for it. Scott, people and companies can vote with their feet, and they are absolutely continuing to do so. I think the Bears example you just gave is part and parcel of exactly that issue.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, those wealth seizure, I like how you said seizure. I'm going to be a little bit more crass and say stealing. All right. Thank you very much, Ted, for coming on. Love what you have to say. Great content as usual. Have fun in California today. Ted Thatcher from Redding, California.